Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Really excited about what we're getting into today.
Me too. We're jumping straight into Chapter 2 of Never Split the Difference 2, the updated version.
And this chapter, Be a Mirror. How to quickly establish rapport. Well, it's foundational, isn't it?
Absolutely. It really sets the stage for so much of Voss's approach. And he uses a really intense story to illustrate it.
Right, that 1993 Chase Manhattan bank robbery in Brooklyn, his first major hostage negotiation, you can feel the tension immediately.
Yeah, and what's striking is how it starts. Everyone, including law enforcement, kind of expected it to be over quickly. A standard surrender.
But it wasn't. It dragged on, which perfectly sets up this core idea for the whole deep dive, really.
Which is about rapport, yes, but also about avoiding assumptions, right?
Exactly. The danger of walking in thinking you already know the score. Voss says assumptions just blind us.
He really pushes for using hypotheses instead.
Right.
Like, have several ideas about what might be happening and then use the information you get to test them.
Which is precisely what they didn't do initially in the bank robbery case. The assumption was quick surrender.
And that assumption was actively being fed to them by the hostage taker, wasn't it, as a tactic?
Yeah, to buy time. It shows how easily you can be misled if you're locked into one view.
And it really forces you, the negotiator, or even just us in everyday life, to stay flexible, to be ready to, change your mind based on what you're actually seeing and hearing.
It does. And, it's interesting that Moss mentions, even after dealing with terrorism plots, this kind of negotiation really grabbed him.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests there's something deeply compelling about the human dynamics, understanding people.
Okay, so from assumptions, he moves into this concept, the schizophrenic state of negotiation. Can you unpack that a bit? It sounds dramatic.
It does, but it describes something really common. It's basically when both sides are so wrapped up in their own arguments, their own internal monologue.
That are not actually listening to each other.
Precisely. You've got the voice in your head planning your next move, and you assume they've got a similar voice in their head. It's like two separate conversations happening at once.
Right, just talking past each other.
Yeah. And Voss's solution, his one pill, as he puts it, is active listening.
Focusing completely on the other person.
Exactly. Tuning out your own internal chatter and just, listening. He argues that this is what starts to build safety and trust.
And that's how you get past the surface stuff, the wants, to figure out the real needs.
That's the idea. Wants are the explicit demands like the van the bank robber asked for. Needs are the underlying drivers: escape, safety, maybe even respect.
Makes sense. You can't figure out the need if they don't feel safe enough to hint at it.
Right, and active listening creates that space. Now, going back to the bank robbery itself, those initial interactions were deliberately confusing.
Oh, totally. The main guy, Chris Watts, wouldn't give his name, disguised his voice.
Claimed there were accomplices from different countries, planting misinformation everywhere.
All designed to muddy the waters and buy time. Voss even notes how Watts kept saying we instead of I.
Which is a classic tell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes the person trying to seem like part of a group is actually the one pulling the strings. Or vice versa. You have to listen closely.
Meanwhile, outside, the command post is dealing with this initial misplaced optimism they'd shared with the press.
Yeah, that must have really ramped up the pressure, promising a quick end and then hours go by. It shows the danger of premature confidence.
And the setup itself sounds intense. The command post, everyone listening in, analyzing.
It highlights that negotiation, especially at this level, is rarely a solo act. It's a team effort with different people catching different nuances. Listening is hard work.
Okay, so 5 hours in, things are stalled. And this is where the focus shifts dramatically to the power of voice.
Yes, this is huge. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. Your tone can literally shift the emotional landscape.
He breaks it down into 3 main voice tones. First, the late-night FM DJ voice.
Yeah. Deep, slow, calm, reassuring. It's designed to project control and trustworthiness without being aggressive. Think soothing, calming influence.
The kind of voice that lowers the temperature in the room. He used it later with Chris Watts, the other Chris Watts too.
He did. Then there's the default one, the positive, playful voice.
This is the go-to, right? Light, encouraging, easygoing.
Exactly. It fosters collaboration, makes you seem approachable. He even mentions smiling while you talk on the phone changes your tone. The turkey spice market story shows it works across cultures too.
Creates a sense of, hey, we can figure this out together, less adversarial.
Right. And the third one, the direct assertive voice.
Is the one to mostly avoid.
Generally, yes. It tends to signal dominance, creates pushback. You lose that collaborative feel.
So it's about consciously choosing your vocal instrument, which leads us neatly into the main technique of this chapter, mirroring.
Right on cue. Voss takes over from Joe, the initial negotiator, and mirroring becomes central.
So let's define it. What is mirroring in this context?
Mirroring, or isopraxism, is basically imitation. It can be body language, but over the phone or in negotiation, it's mostly about words. Repeating speech patterns, vocabulary, even tempo and tone.
Like when you naturally start talking like the person you're with.
Kind of, yeah. It's often unconscious, a sign of bonding. We're drawn to what's similar, wary of what's different. Mirroring taps into that.
But Voss uses it consciously. And the FBI technique is super specific, isn't it?
Surprisingly simple. Just repeat the last 3 words, or maybe the 1 to 3 most critical words someone just said.
That's it. He calls it a Jedi mind trick.
Pretty much. Because it works. Repeating their words signals you're listening, you're engaged. It makes the other person feel acknowledged.
And encourages them to elaborate.
Exactly. It keeps them talking, keeps the connection going. Think about that waiter study he mentions.
Oh, yeah. The waiters who mirrored orders got way bigger tips.
Significantly bigger, like 70% more. It shows how much we respond, even subconsciously, to feeling heard and validated. Mirroring says, I'm paying attention.
Okay, so how did Voss use this with Chris Watts in the bank?
Right away. Voss introduces himself. Watts mentions the van. Voss mirrors. A blue and gray van. Watts immediately spills details about the driver getting chased away.
And then the identity moment. Voss asks directly, "Are you Chris Watts?" Watts says no.
Which Voss realizes was maybe too direct. So he pivots immediately to a mirror. No, you said okay.
Ah, catching the inconsistency in Watts's own words.
Exactly. It rattled Watts, made him uncomfortable. And that led to him sort of vomiting information, as Voss puts it, including mentioning an accomplice.
Which then leads to the second guy, Bobby Goodwin, getting on the phone. But he thinks Voss is still Joe.
Yeah, which immediately tells Voss something about Bobby's role. He wasn't the main guy from the start. And his voice was muffled, nervous.
So Voss shifts gears again. Uses that late-night DJ voice.
Right. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's going to get hurt. Trying to bring the temperature down, establish calm.
And it works, eventually. Bobby says, "I trust you, Joe," even though it's Voss.
It shows the power of that calm, reassuring tone. It built enough trust for Bobby to start seeing a way out. He clearly just wanted to get out safely.
And you really see the split happening between the two hostage takers here.
Absolutely. Chris is playing games, manipulating. Bobby seems genuinely scared and wants out. He's much more direct.
That difference is crucial, and Voss picks up on it, asking Bobby that key question.
Do you want to come out first? Which is the breakthrough moment, really.
But even getting him out wasn't simple. The barricaded door, SWAT protocols.
No, the implementation phase is always tricky. A reminder that getting agreement is one thing, making it happen is another. But Bobby does come out.
And his first concern is for Chris, which is interesting.
It shows the complexity of their relationship. And then, the big reveal. Only one other guy inside, not the multiple conspirators Watts claimed. Back to those initial assumptions being wrong.
Wow. So, Chapter 2 really packs it in, from theory to intense application in minutes.
It does. The core lessons are so clear. Prepare for surprises. Treat assumptions like hypotheses you need to test. Quiet your own internal voice by focusing intensely on the other person.
Slow down, use your voice strategically, especially that positive, playful tone.
And use mirroring. That simple act of repeating the last few words can be incredibly powerful for building rapport and drawing out information.
It really reframes negotiation as less about arguing and more about connecting and understanding, even in the most extreme circumstances.
Precisely. And Voss hints at the end, these same tools, especially mirroring, work in everyday situations too. Like disagreeing with your boss without starting a fight.
Which is a perfect teaser for maybe digging into that later.
Well, this has been fascinating, really breaking down mirroring and voice.
Always good to dive into the fundamentals, sir, the building blocks for everything else.
Absolutely. And thank you, our listeners, for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you got as much out of it as we did.
Definitely keep these ideas in mind, for sure. And get ready, because next time we're tackling Chapter 3, don't feel their pain, label it. How to create trust with tactical empathy. It's another crucial piece of the puzzle.
Oh yeah, tactical empathy. That's a big one.
You won't want to miss it. Until then, maybe practice a little mirroring.